It is the Transformers Legacy United Silverbolt from the Beast Wars universe. Well, which is technically the G1 universe. I have him, but I don't just have him. I'm going to put him up against the original Beast Wars Deluxe class from Beast Wars. These two Fuzors, we're going to put them up against each other. This one is Voyager class, and this one is Deluxe class, but we're going to compare them, see if you like either of them or both of them, and you get to tell me in the comments. Yes, it's your job to judge. So let's get into Silverbolt versus Silverbolt. Be right back. So one thing that usually is the case with these versus reviews is the older figure, you don't get to see him in package like you do the brand new figure. But in this case, you actually do get to see it. This is what Beast Wars Silverbolt looks like in his original packaging. Now this one happens to also be signed by Scott McNeil. I've seen him a number of times, and I saw him up at a con called Totem Con, Tunes of the 80s and More, which was horribly underattended, but got to spend time with him and Brian Drummond, and he was kind enough to sign this figure for me. And it says, "To Kyle, I am strong, proud, brave, and smart as a sack of hammers." So that's what it looked like in the package, but I'm not breaking that one out. I have this one for the comparison purposes. But let's put this one aside for the moment and break out the new Transformers Legacy United Voyager class Silverbolt. It looks very cool, and I gotta say, looking at the packaging, looking at the back and how his robot mode looks, it looks a lot more like the show. So let's pull it out here, and you can see him there in his plastic prison with his two sword missiles, and you can see the wings come through on the back. So, and of course we have a shitty piece of paper and instructions, which will probably be useful because I can already tell he does not transform the same way as the original. Not even close. But with my handy snippers, we will free him from his restraints. Now, what's interesting with the Fuzors in the show is he and Quick Strike came out of Stasis Pods at the same time, and a malfunction basically gave both of them a dual beast mode. Quick Strike was a scorpion and a snake, whereas Silverbolt here was a winged wolf. Half eagle, half wolf. Now he comes with his two feather sword club weapons, whatever they are. And I have to say, looking at them, they look a lot more show accurate than what came with the toy. And they fit very nicely into his fists. Now, in addition to putting them in his hands, you can also attach them to his wings, which have this nice slot here. And interestingly, you can't put them on the wrong sides because this has a slot that's solid and this has a double slot. So you can only put the sword weapons on the proper corresponding side. So that's kind of neat. I thought I'd have to do a little chopping for a moment, but then I realized, no, they're actually set up individually. Now, apparently it is 27 steps to put him into his beast mode. But before we do that, let's take a look at his robot mode, which, first of all, let's take a look at all the sides. And you can see he does look very much like the original and much more like the cartoon, which was CGI, of course. But his face is definitely more like that version of Silverbolt. It's got the black ears, similar chest. A lot of the elements are very similar in both toys, as you'll see in a moment. You can see the wings on his back, and his ass is covered by feathers, so makes it more difficult for Blackarachnia to get a grip on that. But the deco and the look definitely looks very much like the cartoon. Very well done. Lovely representation here, and having the weapons hooked into the wings, you know, he can just punch somebody if he wants to. Now you can also, in this mode, raise the wings. Now, I don't think that you can do what was in the show, which was have the wings come over and fire, but still a very nice touch being able to bring those wings out, which is probably also related to the beast mode. Now, checking out the posability. Now, he's got little joints here in the ankles, so he does have some decent ankle tilts, ankle swivels, so he can have a very wide, "I'm ready for you, Predacons" type stance, though they can also go out the other way, which is less than helpful, but might be helpful in his beast mode. Now, his legs can go all the way out to the side and do a full toes up Jean-Claude Van Damme, but his tail feathers can bend, and so can his crotch plate, so he can actually get pretty far down and do a full Jean-Claude Van Damme. He can also kick forward pretty damn high. Kicking backwards is also Something he can do, but not as high because he runs into his wings. Obviously, he can kick off to the side, so good high side kick, and you can really spread that out using his other leg. He does bend at the knee, and the legs swivel entirely around. Now, he can't really, he can kind of chamber and then do a side kick, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, ball joints here. Well, it's not exactly a ball joint, but it kind of acts like one. Lots of posability in the legs. Twisting at the waist. Let's see if there's any twisting at the waist. There is, but you have to lift up his tail in order to do it. But then it can twist all the way around. So if you lift up his tail and reveal his butthole, which can then be sniffed by other Fuzors or canine. Yeah, so twisting at the waist is done. He doesn't really seem to have an ab crunch or anything like that. Now, if you put the wings back, which are also posable to go further back, you can take the arms and go all the way around. Bend at the elbow. Though when you bend it at the elbow, his wolf paw kind of comes out a little bit. Now, the shoulders swivel around. There is no other swivel here. So if you want to swivel, you can swivel it, but not as much as some bots. The fists themselves do turn, twist around, and he can go off to the side. He can raise his fist in righteous fury. So the arms are pretty good. The head, it looks like it can turn, and it can. All the way around, he can be possessed. The wings, I do want to point out, you can kind of have them flat, or you can use this little joint to pull them back a little bit, which looks a little bit better in his bot mode. And you can even push them back a little bit so they're not as visible in this bot mode. So yeah, he's pretty cool. I like him. He's very posable, and he's definitely as smart as a sack of hammers. Now his feet, you can also push them forward. So if you wanted him stepping forward, you might be able to get him into a pose like that. So he can be quite dynamic in his posing. The head can't really tilt up or down, but he looks like a cool warrior nonetheless. So I like him. Now before we get into his beast mode, let's take a look at his predecessor, the very first, Silverbolt. And there have been other Silverbolts that are this character like. There's a purple one. So this Silverbolt is similar, pretty cartoon accurate face, and his tail in the back does not go covering his ass. He's apparently got two buttholes. Well, actually acts as a mechanism, so if you push this forward and you have the missiles loaded, they will go flying, which can be a problem if you have cats. But you can take his weapons and load them in as launching missiles, and you might be like, oh, well, the new one doesn't have launching missiles. I'm glad, because I actually don't want these to go flying all over the place. But with his wings, you can go up. And again, he looks very much not quite as accurate as the other one on the show because of his wings and the fact that they can go up and slightly down, looks a little more show-like, but there he is. The new one is definitely a bit more show accurate. But this guy has his pluses. Now, as far as posability, he does not have any ankle swivels, but he can go full Jean-Claude Van Damme. His crotch plate needs to go up, but you can actually use his tail in the back to keep him from flopping over backwards. He can kick forward and back to the side, bends at the knee. There is no swivel in the leg here, just a slight bit because of the ball joint, but nothing significant. He does not twist at the waist. In fact, you can see his kind of crotch here comes together and snaps, and it would not allow him to do any sort of swiveling. The arms, as long as you move the wings up, can go all the way around. He can bend at the elbow, which does not pull forward his paws any more than they're already out, but he can swivel around. His head can turn a little bit within the confines of this little box here, but not as much as the new one. And his wings can be posed in various ways, and his tail can be moved up and down. And again, if you push forward too far, these missiles will launch, and then I have to go scrambling after them, and I don't want to do that. And he can definitely carry them as weapons. So he is a pretty cool figure. I mean, we're talking 90s technology here, but still a cool figure overall. Now, side by side, you can see the new one is a little bit taller, which it's a Voyager instead of a basic, so it should be a bit taller. The new Silverbolt is about 6 1/4 inches tall, and this guy just fell over because he was shocked. The original Silverbolt, about 5.5 inches tall, so we're not talking a huge height difference, but 3/4 of an inch, and that can make a difference. Just ask Logan's girlfriend. Anyways, they're both very cool. Now, the original one, the wings did not fold up, they did not hide in the back, and if you tap the turntable of Doom 2 strongly, they will both fall over. But obviously the wingspan on the original is a problem unless you decide to move them up. And then it kind of makes the original one taller. But he does have quite the wingspan, and there they are in their bot modes, side by side. Both cool. He was featured in my 5 favorite Maximals video. The 5 favorite Predacons is coming soon. So much to do. But all right, so we've done a side by side. Let's get them into beast mode. Yes, Fuzor. So there is Silverbolt, the Legacy United, in his beast mode. Let's take a look at him from all angles. And he's pretty cool. The tail to me seems a little short. It should probably extend a little further, but not going to complain too much about that. You can kind of see his fists in the back, and that's pretty common with Silverbolts. You can see his wings there, and I still have the feather weapons on there, and they're very poseable. And you can see the face with the dark wolf snout, I guess, and yellow eyes. And his jaw can open and close. Not a huge amount, but it opens that far and closes. So he can nip. Now, as far as posability in this mode, one thing that I found interesting is the back legs and the front legs both have posts that they pop into, so not really meant to move the back legs all that much. They're basically, once they're popped in, they're locked into place. And the front legs, yeah, you can extend them further back, and you can actually take them out and move them around. But again, there are posts here that plug into the arm. So basically, this is how he's supposed to be posed. I mean, luckily you can make your own decisions as far as that. But those are very long front legs with talons. Looks almost ridiculous at that level. But still, overall, a cool version of Silverbolt. Now, his wingspan, 9 3/4 inches. From feet to haunches, I guess. He's about 5 3/4 inches from nose to non-existent tail. Height-wise, almost 3 3/4 inches tall. So a cool version of Silverbolt. My main quibbles about this guy is the lack of articulation for the back legs and the front legs. You got to unpeg them to do anything with them. And yeah, not loving this super short tail. It would have been nice if it could have extended a little further, just to cover his ass a little bit. You know, you gotta cover your ass. So that is the new one. Let's take a look at the original. I don't want to call him the old one because he is still young at heart. Blackarachnia, my love, where are you? So there is the original Silverbolt, as you can see. Very handsome flying wolf, eagle-wolf hybrid. Fuzor, prepare to die. I will not follow your orders anymore, Megatron. So the transformation is a bit different, but the end results are very similar, though his tail does cover his ass. And what's interesting is the back legs, which are a bit more maneuverable because they don't plug in anything. He does have his fists there, but they're kind of hidden underneath, so they're not as obvious as with the new one. And his front legs, which do not plug into anything, do not seem to be as long, so not as ridiculous looking. So definitely some bonuses with the original Beast Force Fuzor. Now his wings are not as articulated. They can go up, they can go down a little bit, and he can shoot some missiles out of them, but that's pretty much it. His jaw is permanently in an open position. There's no jaw articulation there. But still, overall, he's a very cool-looking version of this character. Now, his wingspan, 9 inches. 9 inches! From nose to tail, about 5 3/4, and height-wise, about 3 inches. So there he is, and if we bring in the new version, they can both kind of fit on the turntable of doom. Very similar looking. They both have the detailing, though this one is a little lighter in the gold. This one is a little more orange, but very similar looks. A little bit more fur on his back, a little smoother on his. And you can see his ears are more perked forward, whereas his are laid back. Which, you know, it all depends on the mood. The articulation of the wings here makes it a little easier for him to get into tight quarters, whereas, you know, he's kind of stuck. But still, two very cool versions of Silverbolt. Get out of there! Just because I don't have a big tail like you, be my guest. Yes, dogs sniff each other's asses. It's a fact of life. But yeah, there are pluses and minuses to both of them, but I really like the new one. I'm glad that I picked him up, and I'm sure Hasbro is glad too because, you know, they got my money. But yeah, a nice update to the original figure. I know during the Thrilling 30 line, they updated a lot of the Beast Force figures. I don't believe that Silverbolt ever got an update. It was always in this form, and now we finally have one. But I'm not going to tell you which one is better. You're going to go into the comments and tell me which one you think is better, and we'll go from there. And I really hope you're enjoying these videos as much as I enjoy making them, because playing with Transformers on camera, what could be better? And while you are mulling over which Silverbolt is best, you can take a look at this video over here, which is my 5 favorite Beast Wars Maximals. He's included, so spoiler. And we will see you next time. Oh, links to both these guys in the description. But have fun. Good hunting.